Welcome to another Mentor Monday. So, I'm going to let everyone kind of find themselves into the room, but I'm excited to be able to be here with you today to talk about some questions that some construction managers have asked. And this is an opportunity to be able to really lean on the experience of others who have been in the industry for some time and be able to borrow from that experience to accelerate and streamline your growth as a construction manager. My name's Cory Fisk, and I am the founder of Construction Management Online. We develop coursework that doesn't just talk about the technical aspects of construction, but a lot of those other things that we have to learn in order to be good construction managers that might not be able to be found in a textbook. So we are going to start with our Skill Builder mini course, going straight into the live of what is your question? So what is your question? Starts first with the question of, what is your criteria for vetting subcontractors? So when we are looking at vetting subcontractors, I think the very first thing we need to do is take a deep look at ourselves, our construction company or construction management company, and really understand what we stand for, because these are going to be individuals, subcontractors that are going to be representing us. They're going to be working with us. So we have to ask ourselves some questions first, like, what size of projects do we want to take on? How much money do we have available in capital to be able to support a number of projects? And how many projects is that going to be? Do we have the workforce in place to be able to support these other projects that we're going to? We have to look at location. How far are we willing to send our employees and be able to still keep them happy while having them away from their home and working on these projects? So there's a number of different things that you as a company first need to understand about yourself before you start vetting for the right subcontractors. Then once you start vetting for these contractors, of course, first and foremost is relationships and understanding. Is this someone that I can work with? Is this someone that I can get along with, that I respect, that I know is going to respond quickly to my questions, my requests when I'm out on the job site? And then you want to look at their workload. How much work have they been taking on? Have they been able to meet the deadlines and meet the contractual requirements of other individuals that they've been working for? So the construction world is really small. And so we can listen to some of those rumors that have been going around. And before just believing a rumor, I would make sure that I listened to it, and then I would approach that subcontractor with that question. What's going on about this? Why is this going around? And you'll be able to tell whether or not you're receiving authentic truth or if this is someone who's just trying to game the system. So other things that we're going to want to look at with the subcontractors is their potential for growth and how they're handling that growth. Some contractors do really well in a certain space, but once they start growing, they start losing loose ends on even the things that they were really good at before. Understanding the financial stability of your subcontractor is going to be really important, and knowing that they're going to be able to handle the procurement and purchase of items. Now, one thing about subcontractors is they're usually smaller, and they're usually someone that needs a foot in the door, or someone who just needs a little bit of help getting started. And so as a general contractor, construction manager, you can make this happen, but what you want to do is to limit your exposure. So look at what type of relationship contractually that you can develop with this particular subcontractor in order to be able to allow them this chance or this opportunity, but still being able to protect yourself. So with that, unless there's anything else on this particular thing, obviously when you're building a criteria, you always want to build a checklist in order to be able to be consistent and be able to maintain the same industry standard for yourself as you move checking from one subcontractor to the next. And then this question, as a woman in construction, how do you handle inappropriate comments on the site? So I know I'm a woman in construction, and I do try to educate as much as I can about the inclusion of women in construction. I think it's very important, but I also believe it's very important that we just have the best person for the job, and making sure that the individuals who are out on our job site are keeping a safe and productive job site. But when it comes to being a woman on a job site, how you handle yourself is going to play into how you're what kind of comments you're going to receive. So I'll just be honest that in my 20 plus years of construction, I definitely have received some inappropriate comments. I have only had one situation where I felt it needed to go to a point where the person needed to be reported. And thankfully, I was with a company who understood the importance of that as well. Although I will say it took a while for them to be able to really comprehend and believe what I was saying, in the sense of it was something that was building up over time. And so they didn't recognize as quickly as I did where it was headed. But once they did see it, then they responded exactly the way that they should have. As far as inappropriate comments, I grew up with a 6'4", 300-pound dad. I have a very big brother. I know how to handle myself around men. And so I wouldn't say that the way I deal with it is the same way that someone else is going to deal with it. I usually will say something right back and just go about my business. As long as they understand that I'm not interested, or that I'm not responding to their particular comments in a favorable way, then they usually don't make comments again. However, there are some individuals out there who remain persistent. And in those cases, it really is important for them to have a clear understanding of your position. This can be hard to do, particularly when you're a young woman in construction. It seems intimidating. These are grown men that are out on a job site that are treating you in a way that you probably have not really experienced before. And so to understand or know exactly what to say, or how to get them to stop saying inappropriate things in the moment, can be a challenge. And so what I would say is that in my younger years, I really had no problem with being the bitch out on the job site. So, but it was very lonely. I was by myself. And in those situations, I was okay with that, because that's how I work best anyway, is in an introverted format. But for some people, that can be an extremely challenging aspect of the construction industry. And so here in my later years, I've learned that in order to be able to still work with these individuals and have camaraderie and have collaboration in all aspects of construction, is taking the time to educate people how I want to be treated. So in that moment that someone is saying something inappropriate, for you to be able to stand your ground and feel that you can express yourself in a way that's not going to get you fired, or isn't going to be looked at derogatory. And so I think that this is a very fine line that makes it difficult for women in certain situations. But having that opportunity to be able to educate and teach men how to treat you is very important, because they too have not been in this situation before, where there's been so many more women out on the job sites, and they're used to talking to their mom or their wife or sister or daughter. And so many might look at you like a sister or a daughter. And so there's some benefits that go with that and some camaraderie and brotherhood that you can enjoy being a part of that system and that protection. But then there's also some things where maybe you feel limited or you feel like you're not able to really move out and be everything that you wish you could be on a job site because they're protecting you too much. And so just recognizing that you, the individual, is going to be responsible for this. You need to have some backbone. You need to do it in the manner that is best suited for you personally. You need to do it in a way that's respectful and able to model the way that you wish or want them to interact with you. And then in those cases where it doesn't stop, then you need to contact your HR and make sure that they're informed of the situation. But there's a lot that can be done before it reaches that level. And we shouldn't be calling HR because somebody walks into a job trailer and says, "Hey, honey, can you make a copy for me?" It's very likely that that's their way of trying to break the ice and be kind and ask you to do a function for them that they are not good at or able to do. It's not because you are a girl and they're asking you to do it. It's because you're in the trailer and that's your job. And so we need to be really more forgiving with each other and just recognize that this is a new area, a new space where we all are learning our way through it. And so as long as we're learning, then we need to be educating and we need to be teaching people how to treat us. So I hope that answers your question. Here for the last question that we have is, what tools do you use for cost estimating, and how do you know what are the best jobs to bid on? Well, so remember, most of the work that we talk about here is how to become a construction manager. And as a construction manager, we're usually reviewing estimates and facilitating information from estimates to other parties on the contract team or on the construction team. But every once in a while, you need to produce an estimate, and that estimate is going to be able to be comparative to the general contractor that's submitting a number to you, or subcontractor, or what have you. And so when we're looking at different tools that we want to use when we're building an estimate, there's a lot of great softwares that are out there, right? So we have Bluebeam, PlanSwift, we have Sage. And so we have softwares that we can use, but those softwares really are no good unless you know the foundation of what it takes to create an estimate, what the estimate is going to be used for, and the information you have available in order to ensure the accuracy of that estimate. And so I think that this is a really important part or important thing to put across, because we have a lot of younger people who are good at tech, and they just want to be able to input numbers and be able to build an estimate, which you can do if you're strictly identifying quantities. But when you're looking at an estimate, there's so much more to the potential of cost contributed to an estimate. So we have to be able to have construction experience to know and understand the different means and methods that are going to impact the cost and time to a project. We have to know outside influences like weather and skill set of workforce that are also going to contribute to the cost and the impact of an estimate. And so some of the tools that we're going to be using are going to be in our own personal toolbox. And my favorite is observation. So as a project engineer or project manager, construction manager, going out on the job site and watching what's going on, the order of precedence, the work that is taking place, how long it takes to get done, what things they're coming up against. Is the topography difficult? Is the ground hard? Is the equipment that they're using the right kind of equipment to be as effective and efficient as they need to be? And so being able to develop that in your toolbox is going to be really important when you're building an estimate. The other thing that you need to know are the people that work for your company. So you might have an A team that just goes out and kills it every single time they're on a job. Or you might have a B team that doesn't always work together, but during the summer when there's a lot of work going on, you're able to kind of puzzle piece and plug everybody in. And you might have a little bit higher contingency or hourly rate for that particular crew because they haven't had the opportunity to work together, so they're not quite as smooth or effective as your A team. So just really knowing and understanding some of those outside factors when putting an estimate together are going to be really important. There's a couple other tools that I like to use. Specific to your construction company, you're probably going to have a cost index. That cost index is going to be around the type of material, equipment, and labor that's used by your company that's very consistent in the type of work that you perform. So, for instance, if you do a lot of sidewalks and you're a concrete contractor, then you're going to have the cost of concrete down like nobody else. Like you know how much it's going to cost, where it's coming from, what the travel cost is going to be associated with that, what the number of concrete bags that are going into that particular concrete mix. You're going to have all of that. And so why not have it on a list or a cost index so that you can just refer to it every single time you have a concrete job for a 4-inch sidewalk. And so this cost index is going to be relatively specific to your construction company, the type of work that your company is doing. And what we're going to be able to do is use historical data from past projects that we've used, and we're going to be able to filter information with a WBS or work breakdown structure in order to be able to pull that historical data from other projects and maintain as accurate as a cost index as we can so that we can use that number on future projects and future jobs. The other tool that we're going to use is a schedule of values. The schedule of values is going to help us be able to bill out our project, but to be able to do it in such a way that we can try to have a little bit of money in our pocket as we move into the next phase of the construction. And so the way that you break out your schedule of values is going to be very important, and you're going to have to be able to defend that to the general contractor when you submit your pay request schedule to them. And the next question kind of adapted to this or part of this is called, how do you know what are the best jobs to bid on? So this kind of relates back to the first question that we were talking to and just really understanding your company, yourself. What can you take on? What is going to be work that you really want to be doing? And what is work that you're just bidding because there's not a lot of work out there and you're just trying to get something? When there's not a lot of work out there, your numbers are going to be tighter. You're going to want to be able to be more competitive with people who are doing the same type of work that you're doing. But when you have a lot of work on the books and you're not really quite sure if you're going to have the workforce to be able to do this next job or not, then you have the opportunity to make a good profit on that job if you put the numbers in the way that you need to and be able to raise your prices. Then if you get the job, you're really happy because you know that you got a lot of money in it. But if you don't get the job, I got plenty of other work on my plate. So that's what we're going to look at when we look at how do you know the best jobs to bid on. Again, I appreciate all of you being here for these short little live clips of Mentorship on Monday. If you have any questions, please make sure to DM and reach out to me. I do want to introduce you to the latest course that we have in our Skill Builder membership, which is the Leveraging the Power of AI in Construction Management. And just remembering that we're not using this as a replacement, we're using this as a support tool to be able to help elevate subcontractors and contractors for their management in order to be able to expedite your writing skills in things like daily reports, meeting minutes, progress reports, and just being able to use it as an opportunity to coordinate our grammar, organize our ideas, and check our spelling before we submit anything in our professional documents. We also want to introduce you to the Skill Builder membership. This is a library of mini courses that are task specific in the construction management industry. So if you have questions on how to put a submittal together, or how to write an RFI, or how to design a progress report, you can jump in and grab one of these mini courses that will guide you through that. And as always, please join me on LinkedIn Live on Mondays at 10 a.m. and make sure that you subscribe to our newsletter to catch the very latest and what we're going to be providing you. So again, thank you so much. I'm glad you were here, and we will see you soon.